What it do, comic babies? I'm Bunkmaster B, and today we're talking about Daniel Warren Johnson. Again. So last week, I showed off the new print set that I got that Daniel Warren Johnson drew up on for me from Do A Powerbomb. And on that, he drew probably my favorite character from my favorite story that he's done, which was Murph. You can see right there, from Murder Falcon. And I want to talk more about Daniel Warren Johnson, because I will talk about Daniel Warren Johnson anytime I get. So last week we kind of saw the two prints. So this is the one that I got a few years ago, where it's the world of Daniel Warren Johnson, all the characters that he has done, or not all the characters, but the characters from his original creator-owned series. And he drew a Beta Ray Bill on for me because he had just done the Beta Ray Bill series from Marvel, which I absolutely love. Go check it out if you haven't. And so today, we're going to talk about the two series that were on the print that I got last week. And that is the very recent Do A Powerbomb right there, and then Murder Falcon, my favorite series that he's done by him. So these two series right here, they both are kind of classic Daniel Warren Johnson in that they have big, high-flying action. I think Daniel Warren Johnson right now is probably the best Western artist for action sequences as far as giving a real kineticism to it. I mean, you look at his action sequences and you can just feel the movement there. The impact with every single shot is absolutely there. But then he always backs it up with this amazing heartfelt story about going through something, about family. I mean, it's everything I want in a comic book altogether. And again, with just that classic Daniel Warren Johnson art, you know, I love his art. Like I said, I think he is probably my favorite artist in the medium right now. And last week's print set was a good example, or a good excuse to talk more about his books. So let's talk about them. So again, this is the print set that I was talking about, where we get to see the cast of Do A Powerbomb, all of the different characters from the different tag teams that are competing in this series, and then again we get Murph drawn on there in a wrestlerized version. So we're going to go ahead and start with Do A Powerbomb. So this was a series that came out last year in single issues. The trade just came out last month, and this is a book I've highlighted on my article for Comics Are Dope about dope wrestling comics. It is. I've had a lot of people ask me with this one, just like, I'm not really into wrestling. Do you think I'd like it? And I think one of the things that Daniel Warren Johnson does really, really well is he's able to take things that would typically be a genre comic, you know, in this case wrestling, or in the case of Murder Falcon, you know, heavy metal, and just really make it accessible. And just even if you're not into that thing, there's still an amazing story that's being there, because the theme of the book just kind of assists in the telling of the story. It doesn't necessarily dominate it. So even though this is a story of a big wrestling tournament, even if you're not into wrestling, if you like action comics, if you like big, impactful action sequences, you know, basically if you like superhero comics, you're probably going to like this particular book. And I want to be very careful not to do any spoilers, which means basically there's a lot of the premise that I can't go over here. But we get to see at this point Ewa Steel Rose, who is the women's champion, and I think actually she's just the overall champion. You can see she's got the belt right there, and she's got a big match coming up, and this is her daughter. And I mean, just look at that. Look at that page right there. Oh, so cool. We got the streamers coming down. She's very much a face, so she's the good guy. She's calling out, she's, saying that she's doing it for her family, but she's doing it for the crowd. You're my family too. Very much this is a family story. And then we get Cobra Sun, who's a luchador style. He's got the mask going on, and he is the heel. He's the one that the crowd doesn't like. And something happens, and I'm not going to go over what that is, so we're going to do a little skipping ahead. So you can see right here, we've got, again, just those big action sequences. Cobra Sun goes off the top rope, huge, just crash. You get to feel that impact. You feel him flying out. You look at everyone going on there. And again, we skip ahead a little bit. And we see that in the future, her daughter, that little girl from the beginning, she is now a wrestler. And she's not the best wrestler, but she's trying. You can see she's got a cool dodge. We have this cool jump. We got these cool flips. And she's pinned. She's down for the 3 count. And things aren't quite taking off for her. She's talking to her dad. Her dad doesn't think that she should wrestle anymore. And something happens through there that causes her to really need to look into wrestling, and it sets up a big tournament that's going up. That's about all that I can say without spoiling any of the specific parts, but it tells the story of a big wrestling tournament. But the reason that it's happening is a really heartfelt family moment, and all throughout you get just this really intense situations of why everyone who's in the tournament, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and so you get lots and lots of silly characters. We get the pizza cape guy. I can't remember their name exactly, but he's wearing a tank top. You can see right there for the za. We've got these cool gorilla wrestlers. And it's all basically an excuse to show just really cool action sequences, all the while telling a really intense story of passion, of family, of heartbreak. And again, I really want to talk more about it, but I don't think I can do that without spoiling it. And so just suffice to say, if you like action, if you like heart, this is an amazing story. The trade just came out. I cannot recommend this one highly enough. But let's talk now about Murph and Murder Falcon. So Murder Falcon right here is probably my favorite Daniel Warren Johnson story. This is another classic book. You get big, bombastic action sequences. You get heartbreak. You get interpersonal relationships. And again, I don't want to spoil too much, so it's going to be a little bit hard to talk about this one in specifics. But we open up, and it just starts out in the middle of the action. And so you get just this awesome scene, big monster, who's rampaging the city. This one's oversized, so we got to scroll out just a little bit. All right. There we go. That's a little bit better. So this is the deluxe edition of Murder Falcon. Honestly, I definitely recommend going with the deluxe edition on this. Not only is are the images bigger, and of course you want Daniel DeeDubs art as big as you can get. I feel like the colors pop a little bit more than the trade. I mean, just Mike Spicer's work really just kind of leaps off the page here. And I think this is a story that benefits from that larger size. I mean, if they came out with like an absolute size of this story, I'd probably buy that one too. But again, we start out here, there's a monster attack, and then Jake, who we first meet, rolls up in a van. I mean, just ridiculous moments here. Who are you? I'm Jake. It's going to eat a baby! And then we have no idea what's happening. Jake takes out his guitar, and he starts shredding away. Murph, this huge humanoid falcon with a big mechanical arm, goes up and just punches this big monster. Metal will destroy evil. And then we go back, and we get to see kind of what led up to that. And Jake, we get to see here, kind of slumped over, meets up with his former bandmate. And their old band, Bruticus, used to be, that was a big thing that they did. They were going through, and something happened to cause them to break up. And Jake's been going through some hard times, and we don't really know what's happening here. But Johan asks him, "You been doing okay, man?" "Sure, I've been fine." Anyone ever tells you, "Yeah, I'm fine," fine's not a good word. Fine is something's going on, but I don't want to talk to you about it. And we get to see that again, something happened, and Jake's in a hard place. In the introduction here, DeeDubs talks about how this is very much a book for people who are in that storm, who have gone through that storm, something that's taken the joy out of their life. And this whole story is about coming out on the other side of that and regaining that joy that used to be in your life. And for Jake, that's about playing heavy metal music, playing with his band. But it's not just playing the music. It's just those people that were in his life before that he let go. And so this is where we get introduced to Murph, the Murder Falcon. "My name is Murder Falcon." And so Jake goes into his apartment, and this monster starts coming out. And his guitar, it's been transformed. And so when Jake starts playing music, he plays anything. So he plays a chord. And Murph gets powered up. And through this, we get these little scenes right here. We don't really know what's happening here, but we see an IV infusion. We see, these sort of very dark, cool, these cool blue tones that contrast the pink high energy right there. And we see this woman, "Hi, I love your playing." And he uses that to kind of keep going. And throughout the story, we get to see a little bit more. We get to see a little bit more about what it is that's happening here. And so this whole story is, again, these sequences of heavy metal music. The power of metal fuels me. And we see Murph just kicking through this monster, and we get this big mess right there. And then we find out that there's basically a tear in the dimensions, and Magnum Chaos is trying to come in and destroy the world. And the only way that they can fight it is with music. And so Murph has come to try and stop that. And what we find out is that in order to have any chance to stop this, Jake has to reunite his old band. Along the way, they have to find the mystical instruments that will allow them to summon their own monsters from the dimension called the Heavy. And all the while, through that, it's your classic quest of, accumulating your items, but it's really about Jake reconciling with his past, getting back in touch with his bandmates, and sort of letting people back into his life. And that's really where the beauty of this story comes in. And again, this is the end of issue 1. I don't want to spoil too much more because it goes in places you wouldn't necessarily think. You go into it thinking that you kind of know what happened, and turns out maybe you don't know in the same way that you thought you did. But this is an absolutely beautiful book. Again, you get Daniel Warren Johnson's awesome kinetic art, Mike Spicer's classic colors that just really kind of jump off with this. Big over-the-top characters. I mean, again, the name of the character is Murder Falcon, who's this big, buff, humanoid falcon with a mechanical arm. You know what you're getting into. But then again, it's punctuated by these small human moments. So we get a big bird punching this, and then him checking in on his guitar tech. And again, that question, are you okay? And then we get to see the quieter moments that happen between people. And it just keeps bouncing back and forth. It does a really good job of balancing those two themes. And I never feel like it strays too much into one over the other. For every moment of quiet reconciliation, we get then right over here, musical monster chop. And we see just all of that going through. I've said that this is my favorite Daniel Warren Johnson book. I don't know that this is the one that I would recommend people first read. I think like something like Wonder Woman Dead Earth is probably the most accessible, just because you get familiar characters. Again, you get those classic things, but you kind of get those stepping stones already built. Whereas this, you have that genre barrier where some people are like, oh, I'm not into heavy metal music. I don't know if I'll like this. But everyone I know who has given this a chance has come out loving this, and that's what I think this video and what these books are about. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, even if you're not a heavy metal fan, I cannot recommend highly enough that you check out both of these things. No matter who you are, there's going to be something in here with these books that's going to resonate with you. If you love high-flying action sequences, you've got that. If you love quiet character moments of two people talking, again, we have them splitting a burger and doing this here. I've said before, I love my comics on the talkier side. I'm a big Tom King fan. You have that too. And I think that is the greatest thing that DeeDubs is able to do, is just thread that needle between the two of them. But what do you guys think? Are there any Daniel Warren Johnson stories that I left out? Of course, I'm only highlighting 2 stories here. He's done many, many more. As I mentioned, he did Beta Ray Bill for Marvel. He did Wonder Woman Dead Earth for DC. He did Extremity before that. He did, that was another creator-owned project he did. I believe that one was through Skybound, just like this one was right here as well. But anyway, I'd love to hear what everybody's favorite Daniel Warren Johnson stories are in the comments, or if you haven't read any, if this made you think, hey, maybe I'll go check them out. But that's all for today. And with that, I've been Bunkmaster B. You all have been amazing. Catch you next time.